but what I will say about doing the teaching qualification is it made me create some of those structures. So I had to submit lesson plans as part of the qualification. So it made me think about how to set that up.
The Massage and Physical Therapist Talk Show, brought to you by Massage Warehouse.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of the Massage and Physical Therapist Talk Show. We're back with a bang once again, and we do have a very special guest today in the form of Jenny Hampton. So, Jenny, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you, Chris. How are you?
Yeah, really well. Just saying how nice it's been to have some sunshine this weekend. It makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Although it kind of makes you not want to work. Well, I feel you get out of bed much easier when the weather's nice.
Yeah,
but when it's really warm, it's a bit like, oh, do I want to be working today? There's something quite nice about like doing massage therapy in a room when you can hear the rain banging on the window.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It adds to that therapeutic sort of value, doesn't it? I think that the client gets.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not one to complain when the sun's out, and it's all good. So Jenny, we've got a good topic to discuss today, and the topic is becoming a massage tutor and how to take the steps from therapist to tutor. And I believe this is something that you've recently started to venture into. This is something you're now doing yourself.
Yeah, I started the process 3 years ago, and I, at the end of last year, so in December last year, my first set of students graduated. So it's just sharing my personal experience of the journey that I went through, just in case it can inspire or help anybody else.
Amazing. And what made you take that step? So obviously, I'm quite hands-on. I do a lot of, but I do quite a lot of things. So I don't feel like I'm just doing massage, which I think is the thing that if you're just doing hands-on work with your clients every single day, Monday to Friday, it can be a bit, I don't know. Well, it can be draining, especially depending on the type of clients you've got coming in, if they're seeing you for specific reasons. If clients feel, it's a safe space to unload and tell you things and it's a way for them to let go and that can be draining for a therapist.
Sure.
So doing that full time every day of the week can be mentally draining as well as physically draining, draining on your hands, on your back. Does any of that play a part in why you'd want to then transition to teach or?
A little bit, I guess. It's sort of a bonus in a way, but it wasn't really the key reason that I did it. It was just something. It was something that I'd thought about for a long time, to be honest. So I qualified myself 14 years ago, and obviously at the start, you just want to get experience, don't you? But it was something that maybe after I'd been practicing for about 3 years, I started to think about. And the organisation that I trained with, the Massage Training Institute, they have a clear pathway for you to be a teacher. So it was just always there in the background. And I taught little workshops here and there. I used to live in Bristol. That's where I trained. And I was thinking about starting. And then for various reasons, I moved. So I moved to Shropshire. So it sort of got put on the back burner for a while. And then 3 years ago, out of the blue, randomly, somebody called and asked me to do a one-to-one training with them. And I just realised doing that, like, this is what I want to do. I don't just want to teach people a few skills to use with their friends and family. Not that that's not great, but I want to take people on that deep journey. I want to take them into that journey of being a therapist. And I think it's because I loved what I did so much. I loved my training and it was such an eye-opening and life-changing experience for me. I'm like, I want to share this with other people. And I actually think it was always there in the background for me as something I wanted to do.
That's brilliant. I mean, I find once you find someone that you really click with, that you do training courses with, it's like they become like your sort of like your guru, if you like, of the massage world.
Yeah.
There was a lady that I did a lot of training with, who used to run classes for Gateway. Do you know the Gateway courses?
Yes. Yeah.
Called Sue Cross, and she was an amazing therapist. And I even used to book in with her just to go to have, massage sessions with her because she was just, when you just come across someone that's just a really, really good therapist and you just think, your techniques are awesome. Is it something for you? We all have our own way of doing things and we all have our, you tend to go on, you do your level 3 or whatever equivalent that might be. and then you then take that how you want to take it and adapt it and do your own method, if you like. Is that part of why you wanted to start teaching? Do you have a special technique, any certain things that you do that you think you'd love to pass on to your, you know, people that you're training?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a couple of things for me. The reason I trained in massage in the first place, really, the particular course that I did was because it had a very strong emphasis on spirituality and meditation as part of the massage process for the client and the practitioner. And I really loved that because I was really into meditation at the time that I trained. I mean, I still am, but I was that was
Well,
when I
they
first.
go hand in hand, don't they? Really, I feel.
Yeah, and that's how they described it. It's like massage can be a moving meditation, and I just love
Yeah.
that. And that's what I try to communicate to people. You know, that there can be this ease and a relaxation for you giving the massage as well as for somebody receiving it. So yeah, I think that's really important. That's a really important part of it. And also the practitioner self-care stuff, because people, like you say, people can get easily burnt out. And I want to, as much as possible, show people that there are ways you can take care of yourself, and there are ways you can create a longevity in your career. Yeah, if you do the right thing. So it's not so much about particular techniques, as in, I mean, I think the thing with the techniques is using ones that help you have a long career. So using mobilization, using stretches. It's not always just like intense deep pressure all the time.
Yeah.
It's mixing it up so you don't get static and stuck in one thing, and you do keep that nice flow going. So, you know, it feels nice for you as well.
So before, if we just rewind a little bit, so before you took these steps to set up as a training school, if you like,
Yeah.
as a tutor, how were you just working Monday to Friday, or well, I guess weekends probably as well in this line of work? Just treating your own clients, or were you working for like salons and other, you know, what was your like setup before you
Yeah.
transitioned?
I was in private practice, so I rented a room at that time. I was renting a room in a salon. It was just after COVID, so we'd been back from COVID maybe about 7, 8 months or something. So that was the place that I could find to work out of at the time. And then it's just sort of all coalesced at the same time that I found my own building when I decided to start setting up the training school, which just had the right space for everything. But yeah, I was just doing private practice at the time, and I also had a part-time job working for the Massage Training Institute as well. So I did a few hours for them doing marketing.
Oh, great. So you still had that little in with, you know,
Yeah,
the admin side of things, as well
yeah,
as obviously the hands-on work, which is
yeah,
really important, I think, because you could probably
yeah.
learn quite a lot of how things are done and
Absolutely. Yeah, it really helped me with that. So it wasn't like an unknown process for me when I started it. I did eventually go full time doing massage, but I did, you know, have that bit of crossover time. So that was really handy.
well, I think that's really important because I think we've discussed before with other guests is that there's a lot of absolutely amazing massage therapists out there, but that they're not very good at the boring side of it, if you like, you know, the keeping on top of the accounts, doing the website, keeping up websites up to date, you know, all the
Yeah.
bits that we don't like doing because we like doing the hands-on work, but it's all the bits that everyone else sees that's going to make you busier and help get clients through the door, basically.
Yeah.
Um, so that is quite tricky. How did you find COVID as well? Because obviously it feels like a distant memory, but did you feel like everything might have just stopped after that and you might have had to go find a different like career or
Well, to be honest, I took the time to I was a little bit struggling before COVID. I felt like I'd got to a certain place with my practice, but it wasn't taking the next step. And
yeah.
so I did really ask myself, is this what I want to do? Because I've been doing it for sort of about 10 years at that point. It's like, do I really want to do this? If I don't, then let it go and do something else. And if I do want to do it, then I need to just go forward, really go for it, not let myself get held back by fear or anything else. And it's actually just what gave me the kick up the bum to go for it, to be honest. So
I
it
was just
helped
going to
me in that
say,
way.
yeah, in a way, as awful as it was for our industry, you know, and none of us could work because you can't really do much
Yeah,
without being
totally.
hands on, could you?
No.
You know, I know there was certain things we could do online. I was doing some mindfulness and meditation things
Mm.
online and this and that, but obviously it was more to keep me entertained and give me something to do more than anything else. You know, I was never actually bothered about how many people were tuned in. I was thinking it was just
Yeah.
to give me a bit of structure to the day when there was nothing else going on. But I think it did give everyone that kick up the bum that was needed to, once we were set free, it felt like we were just all like the door had opened and we're all let loose again.
Yeah,
It gave us that drive to just be like, right, now I'm going to take this, and a lot of people probably really needed a bloody good massage after being cooped up in
definitely.
the best
Yeah,
part of 2 years,
yeah,
working from home. I found that a lot of people were working from home and sat at ridiculous sort of home office structures that was obviously
yeah,
the best, most ergonomic. So yeah, in hindsight, it was a bad time for us, but I think like we've all come back stronger probably from it. Um,
yeah. It was definitely a sort of, well, decide what you want to do moment, wasn't it? It was like kind of just forget it or go for it, really, is how
yeah,
I
yeah,
felt about it. And I was lucky enough to get a grant as well from
right.
the government, which gave me the money to set up my building, actually.
Oh,
So
amazing.
it really helped me in that way. Yeah.
So we'll kind of move on to that now, actually, because this is kind of the information that everyone will find really sort of interesting. Is what was your first step? So obviously you've just made this decision. You want to go down the teaching route. What on earth do you do to do that? Because who's like overseeing it? Do you know what I mean? Like if I
Yeah.
wanted to now go, right, I want to start teaching. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have the foggiest of how on earth to do that legitimately anyway.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Well, like I said, because I'm part of this organisation, the Massage Training Institute, I knew the process that they had. So I guess if you're not part of an organisation like that, there's probably two ways you can go: either join one, or just go back to the people you trained with and ask them how they did it. That's probably the simplest way. But yeah, there was a process laid out through MTI. So I just got in touch with their tutor's office and I spoke to them. Because everybody is in a slightly different place, the requirements are going to be different for everybody. Obviously, a lot of us have had careers before we've gone into massage. Some people might have even been teachers beforehand. So if you've got a teaching qualification, that's your first thing ticked off the list.
So do
Um,
you need to get one of them to be able to do it, or because
yes,
it's obviously a bit different to teaching maths or English or
yeah.
music or.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I can only talk about what MTI ask for. I'm guessing other organisations ask for different stuff,
Yeah.
but I think the general way of looking at it is that if you want to be able to give a decent level of certificate at the end, so you want to say, you're qualified to give someone a level 3 or 4
Yeah.
certificate, you need to be qualified to teach adults.
Yeah.
So different thing if you're teaching kids, then you need a PGCE, but if you're
Hmm.
teaching adults, you need an adult teaching qualification, which thankfully you can do online now because there
Okay.
wasn't one anywhere near where I lived.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can do it online, or if you need to, you can find a college close to you, and you can do it just like as an evening class type thing. If I'd done it in person, that's how I would have done it, but I could do it online and just have contact with I had a tutor then who I spoke to, and I did various modules, and he'd mark them, give me feedback,
Yeah.
and
And
just
is
like
that
that
just
really.
is that just on general teaching? So
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely. It's not
right.
specific to anything. It's
Yeah.
just how do you teach people?
Yeah.
How do you teach adults the subject? And you need to be having teaching experience at the same time. So I had to then go and do practice teaching with one of the MTI schools. So you need to set that up. You need to have somewhere you can go and do practice hours as well.
In
So that
in massage therapy.
Yes, in massage. So you either need to put on your own teaching. So you could teach introductory workshops, for example.
Yeah.
You don't need teaching qualifications to do introductory because it's not a professional training. You're not giving
Yeah. So
people
you're
a
not training
certificate.
someone to then be able to
Yeah,
legally go off and teach and
exactly.
charge to do it themselves, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Charge.
If it's just friends and family
Yeah.
stuff, then it's okay. You don't need qualification, but
As
you
long
can,
as you're trained in
as long as
what
you're
you do.
trained in
Yeah.
something, yeah. But then you can use it as practice. So then you can use it as practice hours for your teaching qualification.
So would that be like when you run like a couples workshop where
Yeah, that could be it.
you're
Yeah.
teaching the husband how to do chair massage on the wife, for
Yeah,
instance, or
exactly.
or, or whatever.
Exactly. It could be like a small group of like 4 to 6 people teaching them how to help their family and friends with aches and pains, that kind of thing.
And then that counts towards your teaching hours, if you like, to
Yes.
for your coursework or whatever.
Yeah,
And that things like
absolutely.
that people could set up in their local community, couldn't they, as a way of like something at a local
Absolutely.
community centre on a Sunday as a way to rack up some hours maybe of teaching of practice time.
Yeah, great. And even before you go through the formal process, it's quite good to do that just so you
Yeah.
get some practice anyway. Sorry, bit tickly throat.
It's hay fever season.
You do also need to have a mentor as well, though. So you will need a qualified teacher to help you, and sort of somebody needs to assess you. So the people that I did my teaching qualification through, they would have sent somebody to assess me if I'd asked them. But because I had somebody who I was training with, they did the assessment for me. But you need someone to assess your work.
And they're a qualified teacher in a mass, and it would have to be.
They don't have to be a qualified massage teacher. They just have to have at least a PGCE. So they
Okay.
have
So it
to
could be a
have
school teacher
master's.
or anything like that.
Absolutely. So the lady who did my assessment, she was a school teacher and she was a massage therapist.
Oh, right.
That was really handy.
To both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. So she was my mentor, and it was just great that she was also a school teacher anyway.
And did you just have like a tick list that you were just following here, thinking, right, I need to find her now, so I'll tick that off the list?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say one of the really important things is just get organised and make yourself a step-by-step plan, because there are many steps to it. There's like this first step is like, okay, I guess before that, the first step is like have a conversation with somebody about what's required for your training path, because it will be slightly different, I reckon, for different organisations.
Yeah.
And then you might already have some of the requirements, and then make a plan of the ones that you don't have. Okay, teaching qualification, tick. Massage teaching hours, tick. Do you know what I mean? So just make yourself a good plan. Like with anything, it's good to have a step-by-step plan. And also just be really patient, because it can take a long time depending on what you have to do. So it took me about 9 months to do the teaching qualification through this online process and doing the teaching hours in person.
Which is good that it's not too quick, and then you're actually taking it all in, because I think sometimes you see these courses offered online and it's like, learn this in a day, and they don't half flummox you with all this information, and there's not a chance you're remembering all that in that such a short time period,
Totally. Yeah, totally. It's good to have a bit of time for it to sink in, and to really important to do the in-person teaching practice, because then we only learn by doing, don't we?
Yeah,
so you have to
definitely.
do it. But if you're teaching, if you're doing the introductory stuff, you don't need someone supervising you. But of course, if you are teaching other therapists or people to be other therapists, you need someone supervising you, because then it's professional training, so it's a different level. So that took about 9 months, and then I had to do then MTI had to do teaching assessments of me. They had to then watch me again, as somebody else different had to come in and watch me, not my mentor, to make sure that I ticked off their observation criteria. So that took
how did you demonstrate for that then? Did you have someone in the room with you and you were showing them how to do a massage on someone that was on the couch, or?
Again, they just came in and observed me doing a teaching a session on a professional training.
Yeah.
So again, I was in somebody's professional training course, and they let me do a couple of sessions, and then they observed me and ticked off various criteria about it's stuff to do with how well you communicate information. Are you using different types of things to help people learn? So you're using visual aids, are you using audio learning, are you using practical demonstrations, because we all learn differently, don't we? So it's just about helping people take on information. Do you give people space to ask questions? All the things that a good teacher does, really.
And do you ever find these other massage schools that say like that are letting you come in and run and do this as part of your training, if you like? Do you ever find that they'd be a bit like, well, no, they'll see you as competition, for instance, and think, well, we don't want to let you in here doing this, because then you're going to be setting up your own massage school, and that might take away people that come to ours. Is there any of that going on?
It's a sensitive subject, isn't it? But thankfully, one of the good things about where I moved in Shropshire, there is no other MTI training school within about 100 miles. I'm in a bit of a dead zone as far as this particular training is concerned. So they didn't have any problem with it, because I was so far away. I was like 2 hours drive away from where they were. So it's no direct competition. If you are going to set up, obviously next to a very similar school, you have to have I think it's only polite to have that conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think obviously, for instance, I've got no plans to do this anytime soon. But I'm in Manchester, and I can pretty much guarantee if I Google it, there'll be loads of different types of massage training schools within a stone's throw of where I'm based. So
yeah, for sure.
Obviously I bet they'd be thinking, oh, we don't want you doing this because it's, you know, you're going to nick our people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a benefit of being part of the MTI community, that it is a community that they you know, they want to support each other. And like, yeah, if I had been right close to another school, that's a conversation to have. But thankfully, I'm not near anybody else. And like, of course, there are other massage training schools in this area, but I'm the only one offering a level 4, so that makes me distinctive. Do you know what I mean? So you just have
are
to
they just
look.
level 3 up to level 3? Are they then?
The other ones in this in Shropshire are, yeah, they're level 3. So you just have to look, is there something that will make me distinctive? You know, and like some people want to do the level 3 and that's fine because it's the right thing for some people. It's just I'm offering something different. So it's just what can you offer that's different?
So do you have to, is there more hoops to jump through for you to be able to teach people to level 4? Or is it just a different
I wouldn't
path?
say there's more hoops necessarily, but you have to do the teaching qualification that I did had to be a level 4 in teaching adults. So I'm guessing if you did if you were teaching level 3, you do level 3 in teaching adults. So slightly different course.
The Massage and Physical Therapist Talk Show is brought to you by Massage Warehouse. Run by therapists for therapists, we're committed to solving common issues you might encounter in your massage therapy practice. Here at Massage Warehouse, we understand how important your massage table is to you and how much you try to keep your table protected. However, accidents can happen. The last thing any therapist wants to see is an unsightly tear, rip, or mark on their table. Not only do these marks look bad, there is a chance that they will grow and cause even more damage to your table. Many therapists think they'll have to replace their entire table. However, we have a solution. Introducing our massage table adhesive repair patches, the simple way to fix tears and prevent further damage to your table. To use the patch, first clean around the area of the tear for any dust or dirt using a dry cloth. Next, peel off the back of the patch. After this, carefully apply the patch over the tear. Finally, smooth around the edges of the repair patch for a perfect application. And your table should be repaired and good to go. Our patches come in 3 different colours: black, navy and cream. We have different size repair patches available, and should you have a uniquely shaped tear on your upholstery, we can create a custom size repair patch for you. Check out our website massagewarehouse.co.uk to see the full range. Now back to the show.
So, sorry, I'm flying loads of stuff at you because I
do
find this fascinating, and I think
fine.
anyone listening who might have thought I want to get into the route of teaching, I think they might be now thinking, okay, so there is quite a few big steps I need to do first, which is good because you don't want anyone just popping up and saying that they're a massage teacher.
No, it's such a responsibility, isn't it? Because you are training people to then go out and work with members of the public safely. So you've got to make sure that they are safe before you let them loose, you know?
Yeah, of course, yeah. And obviously then they're charging people for that.
Sure,
So it's got to be accredited because we've worked so hard in this industry to make massage therapy, you know, be recognised as something so important. You know, not like when we were in COVID and the government were calling it massage parlours and really just making it seem seedy and not worth, you know, anything. So obviously we can't just have anyone just training someone and saying, right, here you go, here's a piece of paper, that means you can now do it. You've got to prove that you've done all the steps and you've took it seriously and you've been overseen. And so you've done all that. You've got your teachers teaching thingy.
Qualification. Teaching adults,
teaching adults, because obviously, you know, you're not going to teach kids massage therapy anyway, are you? So and they're not going to be doing that as a job, are they? So
no,
not until they're over 18 anyway.
Yeah, over 18s only.
Although there is some like colleges that do like beauty and stuff like that, aren't they? That touch on massage and stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's a different thing, but for what I'm doing, it's over 18s only. It's just simpler.
And then you've done all that. You've been assessed. You've got someone coming down to assess you.
Yeah, so there was the teaching qualification first of all, and I had to do that because I didn't have any teaching qualification. Somebody else might have done. Then MTI, my association, they had to then check me to make sure that I was the standard that they required. So they came and observed me. So then I had two certificates. I had one from one to say I was qualified to teach adults, one that said I was qualified to teach practical massage, qualified to teach the holistic massage diploma level 4. And then the next step is there's two different ways you can go. So you can either join an existing school. So again, you could go back to the school you train with and say, do you need any assistant teachers? Do you need any new teachers? I'm qualified. Can I join?
Do you think that's a good way to start for someone that's maybe not quite ready to set up their own business straight away? And it's a nice way to get some experience in teaching.
Yeah, I would say it's the way most people start, actually.
Right. Yeah.
If I'd still been living in Bristol, it's what I would have done. I would have stayed with carried on with the school that I trained with. That's what I'd thought about doing before I left. But obviously, because I moved up here and there was no school for miles around, I had to set up my own school. I didn't have a choice. So, but yeah, totally go join another school, or you don't even have to go back to the one you trained with. You could just contact local schools, see if any of them need a new tutor. You never know. Or you set up your own school. So if you go join an existing school, obviously you just sort of fit in with whatever their requirements are and go along with their teaching plan. If you're setting up your own school, it's a whole other huge thing. And there's two aspects to it, really. Obviously, you're setting up a business. So there's all the aspects of setting up any new business. You've got to find premises, you've got to do health and safety and risk assessment. Obviously, because you're letting in members of the public, you've got to do all of that stuff, and marketing, the whole thing that's involved in any business. And then you've also got to make sure you've also got to create your own course. So the school that I trained with did offer to me, like, you can teach our course if you want, and we'll pay you as a teacher, but you can teach our course where you live.
Yeah.
And I did think about it. It was a lovely offer, but I decided in the end that actually it was right for me to create my own course. But it's a huge amount of work, I'm not going to lie to you, because it's almost a year-long course, and to sort of create all that from scratch, like all the exercises, all the practices,
how do you even
materials.
start? Honestly, I'm thinking, where on earth would you start with that?
It is.
I mean, you'd have to think back to your training, wouldn't you? I guess you'd have to think back to when you were doing your training.
Yeah,
and you'd have a rough idea of how it kind of went and the structure of it. And
yeah, exactly. It was based in part on that. But what I will say about doing the teaching qualification is it made me create some of those structures. So I had to submit lesson plans as part of the qualification. So it made me think about how to set that up. It made me think about, well, what sort of exercise would help people learn names of muscles or names of bones. And do you know what I mean? It's stuff like that. It's not difficult, but it's a lot of it. It's very involved. And like, particularly if you haven't been a teacher before, sometimes you've learned something and the teacher has gone through an exercise with you and it's just been so amazing and really helped you learn, and you're like, where did they come up with that from? Do you know what I mean? So it's trying to be creative, I guess, and think.
I guess that's what separates the different schools, massage schools, for instance, so isn't it? It's that's what makes someone coming to train with you unique compared to going somewhere else, or whatever. It's your approach and how you've put this sort of plan together.
Exactly. And I think part of the reason why I wanted to do my own one was because I totally bow down to the training that I did. It was incredible, and it really changed my life in a lot of ways. I really, I honor them for that. But I've learned a lot since then, and I've developed a lot, and I knew there was a sort of new take on it that I could offer that nobody else could. So that's what I wanted to do, really. And like I said, the meditation part was really important to me. I really wanted to bring that through. So yeah, but it was also, it's a hell of a lot of work. So you have to create all your own materials. Like, I had to get all these, laminated cards with muscles on, and all of that stuff, which is fun, actually. It's a lot of fun, even if it is a lot of work. But you have to give yourself, I'd say, a good year to do all of that stuff, and it's a good year of solid work.
So were you working whilst doing all of this as well? As in, were you still doing
practice?
Because obviously you financially you need to still be getting an income coming in whilst you're doing all this training, which could then, is a lot of work, because I can imagine
It
you're
is.
clocking off in the evening and then you sat there on spreadsheets on your laptop trying to do lesson plans and
Yeah, exactly how it was. It was about 2 years of doing that. So I'm not going to lie to you, it was pretty full on.
yeah.
It's not something you take up lightly, but I think because I knew I really wanted to do it, it just kept me going, you know, and I'm quite motivated, like when I'm doing something that I love, like most people are. So it got me through all of that. And it was, yeah, you know, like many people will tell you, learning something while you're still working, it's sort of like, okay, end of the day, yes, I need to go and do half an hour on this, and lunchtime I'll just squeeze in a little bit here. And do you know what I mean? It is a stretch, but it's taking you into something new. So it was ultimately worth it.
It makes you think, oh, to be young again and just to be a student without any worries, not
Exactly.
needing
Yeah.
to work a job and can just get a student loan and just learn. You know, it
Yeah.
makes you think how important those days were, when really we probably spent it out in the pub and anywhere other than where we should have been. And now you look back and think, now I've got a bloody house to run. I've got a full-time job to I've got bills to pay whilst trying to learn new skills. It's
A lot. Yeah.
it's a lot, but it keeps us going. I think this constant striving to learn more and to do more. So you've put your plan together. You've made your year long, if you like, structure
Yeah.
of how your course is going to run.
Yeah.
Does anyone then have to come in and look at that and
Yes.
read through it all and sort of give it a tick and say, right, yeah, that looks good enough to us,
Yeah.
kind of thing?
Again, it's those two aspects, like the whole health and safety aspect. I had to do an assessment and send that to the MTI office, and they had to check that I had a safe premises to teach people and had, you know, safe equipment, all of that. And then I had to send off my course to the examining body, and they had to tick off like, yes, this is appropriate, and you know what we look for and all that
And
kind of thing.
do you choose the examining? I know, because examining, is that like what, like iTech and
MTI is its own examining body, so
okay,
that they do that as well. But yes,
yeah.
you can choose like iTech or, you know, whoever as well.
Is it like I can't remember. There's
The
loads of names.
VCT,
VTC, yeah,
the VCVT,
VCTC or
yeah, something
VCTC or
like
something.
that.
Because I've done courses and one's always been like, I think my massage course was iTech, but my reflexology was VTCT.
Yes.
Both at same levels and stuff, but it's just they're different governing bodies, if you like, then, are they?
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you're setting up without an organisation like I did, then you can, yeah, apply, just send off to iTech and say, you know, can you assess my course, and go through
Yeah.
that. I don't know what their process is, but obviously they're going to have a process.
So how did you choose your governing body then, or did you
Because it was
just who you've used
what I
before,
trained
or
with.
what you trained? Yeah.
Yeah, they were who I trained with. So it's just, I've always just been part of that
Yeah. Yeah.
organisation.
Okay. So, and then was it a massive, huge relief when you got that email come through or whatever saying
Yeah.
that it's all been, that your course structure's been approved, and it?
Yeah, it was a relief. But it's sort of like, then it's like, oh, then you have to do it. And the first year of teaching is like, it's first time doing anything. It's intense, and it's a challenge, you know. It's just like you're being stretched into something new every time. But it's also an incredible process. And having the joy of watching people learn and understand stuff, and you explain something to them and you see that they've got it, and that's really amazing.
Yeah. So as soon as they've approved your course, is that it? You're good to go?
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
And then what about like short, you know, like, so like we have to be, we don't actually have to be a member of like the FHT or
Yeah.
or Balens or whatever. We only have to be a member of them to get our public liability insurance to practice massage therapy as a not as a trainer, as a, you know, just as a massage therapist. But obviously you can join these governing body thingies, can't you? You know,
Yeah.
and they add you then to their teachers registry and stuff. So there is some pros to do it. But I know a lot of massage therapists that don't agree with paying FHT 140 quid a year or whatever, when they can just get their own public liability insurance for 50 quid a year, you know. And not, because some may argue, did they ever get any new clients out of people going on FHE's website and searching for a therapist in their area? Don't think I've ever had one. But for ease, I am just with Balens, I think, for the insurance. But do you have to be with someone different for being a teacher? Or do they insure you as that?
I thought I'd need extra insurance, but I spoke to Balens and I went in back and forth with them because I couldn't believe what they were telling me. But they said the insurance I had covered me to for teaching
Yeah.
because I'm not the person marking the exams. I'm not the one giving the certificate.
Yeah,
MTI is the one giving the certificate. So I was covered. I didn't
yeah,
have
that's
to
great.
get
I
any
think I'd
extra.
heard that anyway. I think I've heard
Yeah.
that elsewhere. So it's good to know though. So that's one
It
less
is,
worry
yeah.
to have to.
Exactly, one less expense.
I guess as far as they're concerned, you're a trained massage therapist, and you're a trained teacher now, and you've got a course that's been approved. So as far as they're
Yeah,
concerned, because whoever you're
covered. Yeah.
training, they've got to get their own separate individual insurance anyway once they've passed anyway, haven't they? So
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
so then how did you decide like how many people you can? Do you just do it on a one? How many do you have? I'm presuming it's groups. You're not just doing it on a
Yeah, it is.
one-to-one
It
basis.
is. It is groups. Yeah. I mean, I worked out my costs as much as I could. Like, how many people do I need to make this run effectively? Because I had I've got I've got a building with two different sides to it, and in one side I've got my massage practice. Then I took on the other side for the training, so I had to be able to pay the rent and the energy bills and what have you on that building. So I had to work out, well, what's a realistic amount of people? And I figured I needed at least 6 people, and I got 8. So that was great for a first course, because I don't want a massive course when I'm just starting out, but
Yeah,
it has to be enough.
yeah,
So that was great. It covered everything, and it's probably the minimum number really, because you don't want it to be it can be a bit too intense if there's too few people. Do you know what I mean? Like you want to be able to swap around a bit and, let people get to know each other. And yeah, so that's quite handy to have
And
that.
there's things like you needed to buy stuff in, so you had to buy a load of massage couches, things like that.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's
just thinking
fine.
they're simple things now, but that
Yeah.
to some people they might overlook the fact that they'd need to have money aside to pay
Oh,
for
definitely.
all of the
Yeah.
props, if you like, because
Yeah.
people don't bring their own massage couch. I can't remember. I didn't have to when I did my training. I think they had them all
Um,
there, but
yeah, I had them all here. When I did my training, there was 25 people on the course. So they did ask people to bring in tables. So I guess you could ask people, but I just thought, well, it's not a big group. I've already got a couple of spare tables, so I'll just
yeah,
get a couple more. That's
yeah,
fine. So I just did it that way. But yeah, obviously you need bolsters, you need books, you need folders. There's a whole load of stuff that you
yeah,
need. Flip chart stand, or all of that
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of teaching equipment stuff as well.
And you mentioned you managed to get a grant towards setting all this up. So did that help pay for all this kind of things that you needed? Did it help go towards your premises that you're using and
The COVID
stuff like that?
grant, the COVID grant helped me set up my building initially for my massage. So that was in 2021. I think, yeah, 2021 I got that. So that helped me set up the other side of the building. For my training school, I actually got a loan from the British Business Bank,
Okay.
and they were amazing as well.
Yeah.
I really recommend them. They're great. They give you a very low cost loan that you can pay off over like 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And that's what helped me set up the training school.
Oh, amazing. And then so this building that you work from now, obviously you rent it, which
Yes.
obviously to some people is always a bit, because it's not like you're renting it from you're not renting a small room off someone else. You're renting the whole space, aren't you? So
Yeah.
you've got to deal with all the electrics,
bills
the
and
bills
yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
which obviously have been rising and rising. So that's always a slight worry, isn't it? When
Yeah.
when it's all on you basically to
Yeah, it is. It's just thankfully I haven't been too affected by the energy thing, partly because for one side of the building I had a long-term contract in place before all that happened. So like that was all okay. And yeah, the other side I wasn't using it so much, so it wasn't too bad for me. But yeah, I mean it is a leap of faith, isn't it, really doing anything like this? And I could have fell flat with it, but thankfully I didn't. So
Well, I think it's a great step because people are always wanting to learn, aren't they? And people are always wanting to make career changes. And I think you get a lot of people maybe that work sort of when I did my training, half the people on the course, I remember, worked in very sort of high power sort of business sort of world.
yeah.
And they wanted just a complete drastic change
Yeah.
of because of how stressful it was what they were doing, and they wanted to completely change their career path and do something completely different. And then they'd signed on to
Absolutely.
this level 3 massage course. So
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that out of the 8 people on my course, 6 of them were over 40. So a lot of it is people, like, let's say, looking for that second career or looking
yeah,
for something different.
Yeah, because I don't come across many like young massage therapists.
I think you need a bit of life experience to be a
Yeah,
therapist. Oh, it's definitely helpful because it's not just the massage, is it? It's like you said, it's being with people, and it
yeah.
just takes a bit of maturity to do that.
I mean, I was in my early 20s when I started, but that was because I've come from a family of like massage therapists,
Right.
and my mum was a massage therapist and reflexologist, and it was just something I was brought up with. So I
Yeah.
guess that's why I got into it quite early. Um, but yeah. So you've got your building, you've got your course running, you've set your website up, you've got your first 8 people that booked on your first course, and are they with you then? What for a full? Was that what course was that they booked on then?
So that was the
Were you
level.
just offering one course at this moment in time,
Yes,
like?
so I was just offering the level 4 holistic massage diploma, which started in February 23 and ended in December 23. So
Okay,
it
great.
was that journey of that year. And they had so they had a coursework folder they had to do, and then they had 2 exams, theory and practical exam, and obviously they had to pass each of those assessments in order to qualify.
So you've got that up and running, you've got 8 people signed on, and they're going to be with you or in some capacity from February to December. Is that
Yeah.
all you do for February to December then, or have you got obviously
No,
you got
I'm
one-to-one
doing my
clients that you're
yeah,
treating as well?
I'm still doing my practice as well, but I realized that I couldn't do as many hours. I think particularly on that first course, because it was each weekend, it was so overwhelming for me to do because it was new, because I'd never done it before. So I had to give myself a bit more space, take more days off, and do not see as many clients as I normally
Yeah.
would.
And then once one course ends, does another then begin? Do you only have one course running at each time, or because a lot of it is, self work, if you like, where they've got to go off and do the case studies, this, that, and the other. Does that give you time to then be running other courses whilst they're, do you plan it like that, or do you just take on one course at a time and
I did look at doing 2 a year, but I realised that that was a bit mad, and
yeah,
particularly for now, I'm still learning myself
yeah,
really. I'm going to do 1 course a year, and I decided that starting in September is actually a better fit for me in the
yeah.
way my business works. So I'm not starting till September this year, my next one.
That kind of follows like a school academic year then as
Yeah,
well. Like,
exactly.
you've got the
Yeah,
summer holidays out of the way. September,
yeah,
everyone's got their mind back into, they've been on holiday, they come back, they're like, right, time to start,
exactly.
sort
Yeah.
of. Um, so do you ever have plans to grow this, to train? Would you then be able to train other people to become teachers, or get them on the path to then work for you, and so that you can then run multiple courses and things
Yeah.
like that? Is that
Yeah,
where you'd like to go?
I'm definitely would like to train up other people to teach the course that I'm running, or even to set up their own school. I'd be totally happy to mentor them to do that as well. My aim this year is to have 12 people on the course, so 10 to 12 would be amazing. If it only ends up as 8, that's fine, but it'd be great to have a few more people, and then to have an assistant, so to start training somebody else up to do the teaching eventually as well.
And then would you solely see yourself as just doing the teaching, or do you ever see yourself hanging up your massage gloves, if you like, and just doing the teaching, or do you think you'll always do some form of massage therapies,
I think I would
even
like
if it's
to,
just a couple a week, just
yeah, I
here and
think
there?
I'd like to do more teaching and less massage, but I'd like to still do a bit, I think. I don't think I'd want
Yeah,
to give it up entirely. It's,
yeah.
I do love it. I do enjoy it. So I'd like to just maybe, yeah, do like 1 or 2 days a week, something like that.
And that way it keeps you still in there then, doesn't it? With
Yeah.
that side of things as well. So you're not just doing the one thing, which can, eventually, like with anything, you get a bit sort of complacent with it, don't you? But having them extra bits to do now and again, and you'll always have them clients that you've probably just been seeing for absolutely years that
I know, I'd be so sad to let go of
yeah,
them. So
yeah, because it becomes you become like a good friend to them. So, it
yeah,
ends up,
definitely.
um,
Definitely. And I'll say it's a very different mindset as well, doing one-to-one and doing teaching. So it's like you inhabit different places in yourself to do it. Like group dynamics are very different to one-to-one dynamics. So
yeah.
yeah.
I think as well, it's nice to sometimes have that mental break just to do a one-on-one client, because when they're on the couch, they've gone past that point where they've been having a little chat with you and stuff, and then they've drifted off, and it's just quiet. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? You're not
Yeah,
having
yeah.
to talk. You're not having to, you just get into that kind of meditative sort of
in the
flow.
zone. Yeah.
Whereas when you're teaching, you're just constantly talking and constantly showing and doing and thinking, and and it
Yeah.
kind of it can be tiring, so it's quite
Yeah,
nice
it
to have
is.
that
It's
break, if you like.
for sure. It's definitely a different space, isn't it? It's like in one way you can be a bit more yourself when you're being a teacher, because you don't need the same sort of professional, I don't know if distance is the right word, but you know what I mean. You can't share yourself with your client like you would a friend. You have to have a sort of professional boundary. Whereas with your students, you can be a little bit more relaxed. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like you said, you are on all the time. You do have to, be the teacher all the time as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit different.
Well, talking of mental breaks, I was having a look on your website earlier, and we have something in common, Jenny, because I
Oh,
believe you're a little bit of a musician yourself.
oh yes, I
Yeah.
dabble. I play the piano and the guitar a bit.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm a musician as well, and I
Oh,
run on the side. I run a music school where I
oh
teach children.
really?
Yeah, teach kids and
Oh,
children, young adults up to 18, getting them into
oh,
bands and getting them to just play.
oh, that's
But that's
incredible.
yeah. But I see music as something that's so interlinked with what we do anyway. And it's just that creative thing. But it
Totally.
is, when I seen that, I thought, right, so you'll get that, because it's a great way to just sort of free the mind, isn't it? Just playing an instrument and sing. Singing's great.
Yeah,
It makes you feel
totally.
awesome. Um, so do you is that something you just obviously it's nothing related to what we're talking about, but is that something you've just done as a kid from school or whatever?
Yeah, I've always had an ability to. I've got a good ear. I can pick things up by listening to them quite quickly, and because of that, I learnt an instrument when I was at school. I started playing the violin when I was quite young. I didn't continue with it, unfortunately, for various reasons, but I did. It helped me learn to play the guitar. So when I picked up the guitar, I just knew how to do it because I played the violin.
Yeah,
And it's just gone on from there, really, like various different ways, singing, playing instruments. And it's just, it's not even just music, it's sound. I just love sound. It
yeah.
just makes sense to me. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's something that I've always done.
I always find the therapists that are also just musicians in the background. You always find that their playlists when they're teaching or when they're doing a session, is the playlists are always absolutely spot on, because I think that extra bit of thought goes into what songs you
Oh
choose to
yeah.
put on your playlist, rather than just finding one that says massage playlist or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Picking
Definitely.
your own one that's got the right beat and rhythms in it.
Yeah, I am
Uh,
so picky about the music that I have, because if I go for a session and the music's wrong, I get so irritated. I can't relax. So
yeah.
I'm really particular about the music that I use, definitely.
Yeah, it's got to be on point. And I feel
Yeah.
learning an instrument as well, they do say, all the studies behind it of how it makes your brain think, and how I'm
Mm.
sure somewhere in there is probably the reason why you've gone down this teaching route as well, is because
Yeah.
you've got that sort of that way of thinking about these things and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, nice to meet another fellow musician slash therapist. We should all get together and make like a big band or something at
Jam
some point.
session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, it's been really informative, this, and I feel anyone that's been thinking that they might want to go down the teaching route at some point in their career, this will really help them just get some pointers together of what order they might need to look to do things in.
Mm.
Obviously, we've said there's different ways, and this is obviously your journey, and this is how you've gone about doing it. So that's not, necessarily the be all and end all of how to do it, but this is how you've done it, which
Yeah.
is really insightful, um, and I think it's good in a way that it's cemented that it's not easy, and it's not meant to be easy, because if it was, everyone would just be saying that they're a massage teacher and trainer. So where can people find you then, if someone wants to come and train with you? Where did you say you were based? You're
I am
in.
based in Whitchurch in North Shropshire. So I'm about an hour away from you. It's about an
Yeah,
hour away from
Whitchurch is a lovely
Manchester.
place, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, so it's sort of it's on the border of Cheshire, North Wales, North Shropshire area. So that's where I am in person. I have started doing the odd bit of CPD online as well. So I'm always open to suggestions if people want to do stuff online. But obviously when it comes to learning the hands-on skills,
Yeah.
that's where I'm based.
So do people come to you, and do they depending how your course is structured, do they get themselves an Airbnb in their local area and do they really immerse themselves in it, or do people just drive and come and see it and come and go each day?
Yeah, most people come and go. It tends to be people within about a 45-minute drive that come.
Yeah.
But I can get the odd person from further away. Like last year, I had somebody come from Hereford, but she was just very determined and really wanted to do the course. So yeah, she made the trip.
Great. Okay. And how can they find you, Jenny? What do they need to do to get in touch?
My training website is learnmassage.uk. So that's got the information about my introductory and diploma course. And I've also got a website for my massage practice that's got it's also got information about the training as well and other stuff, that other events that I'm doing, and that's jennyhamptonmassage.com. And if you want to find me on social, it's just search for Jenny Hampton Massage on Instagram and Facebook.
Brilliant. Well, when this goes live, you'll get tagged in it anyway, and maybe you could just leave a comment on the various different platforms, just with your links to your various pages.
Will do.
And that way, people can hunt you down and get some training done with you.
Great.
Jenny, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. Anyone listening, what I would say is make sure like and subscribe somewhere down here when it pops up on your screen. So yeah, keep tuning in to the next episode. And once again, Jenny Hampton, thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
The Massage and Physical Therapist Talk Show. We discuss the talking points that matter to you, the therapist. A lot of work goes into creating the talk shows, and we'd be very grateful if you can choose Massage Warehouse when shopping for massage supplies so we can continue to create these amazing podcasts. Massage Warehouse is your one-stop shop for massage supplies and does great work supporting our wonderful community. Until next time,